everything is on the line here. You win, you will follow Team Heretics all the way to Toronto. And if you lose, that lower bracket is looking a little bit dangerous. But let's talk about the map vetoes here, what we're going to see. The split is what you both think is coming up, but the question is, who's picking it?
Well, Team Liquid, actually, who had the advantage, so won the coin toss by default because their seed 1, choose to be Team A and ban the Pearl. And yeah, split is there.
Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising. Like I said, this is Team Liquid's strongest map. It's got a 100% win rate in kickoff and stage 1, but Fnatic finally deciding to play into that icebox. We haven't seen that from them so far, and I think that what do you prepare for if you're Team Liquid?
It's a power move after power move.
Yeah.
You see Team Liquid being like, we want to beat Team A, so we can choose the side on that last map if we get to that, because they value that, and they probably see that this is most likely going to go the distance. And also peeking the split. Also, another thing that they didn't need to do necessarily, and as you're saying, really, finally seeing that icebox coming from Fnatic is the response to what Team Liquid have been putting on the table with that little time that Fnatic have been having their match against Heretics just last week, having played 2 days ago. Okay,
I think it's a risk. I think it's always going to be a risk for a team to go into a high-pressure situation like this and play a map that they have not played at all this entire split. Having said that, though, it is Fnatic's icebox, you know, it hasn't exactly been bad in the past. But let's talk about this split real quick. I'm sure that was for FNS. I'm sure he knows he's watching. Yeah, let's talk about this split first. We all talked about how we're going to see it instantly. Billy, you kind of favored Liquid coming into this, but does it change your minds at all that Fnatic are going to be starting on attack?
No, it's difficult with Fnatic, right? Because it doesn't matter what side they start. As soon as they get that 8-4 half, they're kind of chilling usually for the map. So as long as they get 8 rounds, no matter what side they start, they're going to be okay.
Oh, we've seen the Nats versus Chronicle. I know, Sue, being a Gambit fan, especially on this map. For me, Split is a very Gambit map. Seeing this head-to-head now, both of them playing on the Viper, we know that the battle for mid is always going to be in question. And seeing these two going head-to-head, it's almost just as exciting as seeing those two double duelists within this mirror matchup.
Yeah. I love to see the double duelist head-to-heads. It's just so nice to see that. And like you say, the Chronicle Nats, it's just perfect.
It's every single player going up against their storyline after storyline. You have Serial taking on one of the most seasoned Astral players we've had in the entirety of Valorant. Kiko against Alfia. Crashy's playing against Paditech in EMEA. I never thought we'd see the day on land.
We made it. Also, the battle of the operators, we've seen both Kayak and Camel being actually very proactive. I think that both of them making those plays have been pretty pivotal from both of those teams, and we're going to get to see that head-to-head. Also, the double duelists, the aggressions that we're seeing, all the fakes, how you're going to utilize the Euro, how are you going to get into your opponent's mind, where we're speaking about Nats was having a crazy showing this year, and Boaster one of the most experienced IGLs that we have in the world.
And I think that's when teams have to start getting creative, right? Because there's so much footage on both of these teams playing this map. It's going to be a real test as to which IGL can adapt in the moment and can get creative, because you're going to be expecting each other's game plans, not only when there's footage on it, but also running that same composition. You know how it's supposed to work on this kind of map.
Yeah, and we've heard so many other players, coaches, so on and so forth talk about Liquid. They always do the same thing. Nats always does the same ult. And we know exactly what they do. And yet, they do not beat them. Yet, nobody has actually managed to take them down, despite saying that all of the anti-strat they do, they can predict them. So you do have to wonder, is Fnatic the team that's good enough to be able to exploit some of the things we've seen a lot in the past? But that is enough from us. It's time to jump into Split and throw this over to your casters. Take it away, Mitch and Tom.
Thank you very much, Yinsu. Team Liquid and Fnatic, Tom. We've seen them here in EMEA. We've seen them at Masters. We've seen them at Champs. They face each other across the board, and it almost seems to be a decently high-stakes matchup. Think back to Stage 1 and Stage 2. Team Liquid's run was ended by Fnatic, and now it might not quite be elimination, but that spot on the line, the stakes are high again.
It's always nice to get 2 chances, right? To make it to an international event. So the second chance doesn't feel quite as nice. A little bit more pressure, a little bit more sweat. So we're looking at both these teams wanting to get it done the first time around. And as you said, it has been a seasoned matchup. One that if you look at best of 3s, has always gone the way of Fnatic, except events outside of the VCT. So always going to be interesting, of course. This is a matchup that has happened so many times, all the way back to First Strike. So that was before even I was here.
I remember.
And I'm old.
Many months ago. Yeah, of course, Nat's been a member of a lot of those looking back at last year, but it was a team that he didn't have, I guess, the pressure over that mold in the way that he wanted to. Now, this is his team. Let's see if he can lead them to victory over Fnatic. As you were saying to me earlier, Tom, and VCT, BO3's don't go their way. That's a sneaky play by Nats. Right up the rope. Goes past one and takes him down. Fnatic, though, trading blows for the most part. It's left Boaster alone. Coming into this game, he's got the highest clutch percentage alongside Camo, but that one just took a hit.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't have the Boaster smoke to help him out in this scenario, so it will be the pistol going the way of Liquid. As it was mentioned on the desk, it is something that especially Fnatic have been known to have very hot starts on this map. In fact, when they started defense last time, they went 8-4. And then the time before that, they started attack, and they went 8-4. And the time before that, they started defense, and they went 8-4. And then the time before that, they started on attack, and they went 8-4. And the time before that was attack again and 9-3, so they ruined it. But that was
Pattern's gone.
The point made. Fnatic always start strong and then actually teeter out a little bit in the second half. We've seen OTs for them. Liquid, on the other hand, they have only lost this map once this year, 8 times played, and that was in a mega OT versus EDG. So, I mean, EDG, you know,
Acceptable team.
kind of a good team.
Acceptable team to lose to.
Didn't make it to Masters though, which is mad. I still can't believe that's a thing. It doesn't make sense to me. Champions curse in full force. For now, though, of course, minor investments. It's an opportunity, especially looking at Kiko, to try and farm up some orbs. Got that Outlaw in play. Shots fired. And, well, hit. He doesn't get the orb.
Careful here.
Get in the way. Fnatic, as you said, very weak investment. It looks like the idea to pressure towards this B side, even just limit testing what they can get away with. TP goes in, no immediate reaction. Starting to get a sense for how those rotations have come through. They pressure Serial up close, but there's the Outlaw in full effect. A double from Kiko saves any further damage. Could have gotten dicey if they got control of the site, but Liquid were quick to react.
And that's exactly what they wanted. That's orbs farmed up for Kiko. 2 away already for that showstopper. He's definitely been a player that I think needs no introduction, but still needs to be highlighted. Like, he has had an incredible season kickoff. I think not really even arguable that he was the best player. An incredible performance from him individually, and also flexing between that controller and obviously coming up with that double duelist. Liquid, well, it's not quite the full rifles for them, but they're very good in these sort of scenarios. We'll see if they can do it in the bonus.
Now we see the Outlaw again, but it swapped hands to give Kiko a rifle. Both of those players end up falling immediately. Fnatic not pulling any punches as Boaster through the smoke drops Camo. All right, well, we didn't even get to talk about potential in this round because there was quite a lot of it. Serial was one of the players coming in with a weaker weapon. He's been able to upgrade at least. Not on the Spectre anymore, but it's over the corpse of his teammates, now leaving Patatek and himself. You say to do it all normally, but this isn't a round they're likely to win at this point. The question of damage comes into play. You really want to see some of these players fall for Fnatic. Crashy's low, 10 HP, Boaster on 55. There's definitely potential.
I think Patty as well just has to say, like, you look at Nats already down on 100 credits. You at least need to hold on to one of these rifles.
Yep.
Probably shouldn't be the Bulldog, so Serial's going to go looking, but he is found immediately by the side of Fnatic. Around looking squeaky clean for them, as good as you can get in terms of these third round purchases. And to be honest, my highlight is going into this, and it's, yeah, I think he's just trying to pick off one. It's not worth it though.
Oh, it's a big cost.
And an in-zone flawless comes off the back of it. Yeah, I think a gun lost in a scenario where it really didn't have that much of a benefit. And I want to see now what that's going to do in terms of damage to the economy, because as I said, Nats did not have enough to buy into this next round.
That's because of that rifle they bought up that ends up being lost, giving it to Kiko. The idea being, you know, if he just grabs that one kill, an orb maybe early on or late after control is seized, you've got a showstopper and a real opportunity to fight your way back into the game early on to put that 3-0 on the board. It doesn't connect for them. So they're left in this position, as we are. A technical pause.
through all of Gorilla's
It's
tattoos.
a shame that is the last we see of Yinsu today, so yeah.
He's going on his lower back. I think it's a butterfly.
So round 4, anyways, about to kick off here. Split, the map that we're on, the map we were on, nothing's changed. The rounds are the same. There's no rollbacks. We can be thankful for that. Nats coming in with a stinger, and that's the downside of what we saw just before we had that little break.
Is it a downside? Last time he had that, he killed someone, picked up a judge, and got an ace.
That is very true, isn't it? He did have his Viper's Pit to work around, this time 4 orbs away. That will be difficult to acquire, Tom.
Difficult, but not impossible.
You reckon he can do it inside the orb, perhaps?
Who knows? Nats can do anything. Already, an aggressive start to the round. Camo going, looking, and it's the bait and switch, but Camo actually predicts he's ready for Chronicle. Obviously, an important part of the game plan is clearing Chronicle from that A site. Lurks around that part of the map so regularly. Because of that, you can see the immediate response from Fnatic is, okay, we have to spread out and go back and clear some of these angles. We can't allow Liquid to have this much space for free.
Here.
Slow push up. Devil will find nothing. Liquid with a super passive play towards B. You talk about map control for free, but there's nothing being taken by the defensive side. It means they're going to be a little bit more delayed in reacting to this split that's coming through. Fnatic from main and from vents with a stinger in hand and already heavily damaged up. That's really not in the best of positions to keep this advantage in their favor. Snakebite goes down, that's going to delay them. They've got teammates coming to link up, and the wall up is going to stop any sight lines for Camo. This is a tough position, Nats, so he's got the close range angle. He's being spotted, the decoy blinds him. Great play by Kayak. They'll get themselves towards the site, but now the rotations are coming in, and there's only 12 seconds to get this spike planted. Pressure, oh, and as Camo picks up 4! It's not quite the ace, and it's not Nats doing it, but a round's a round. Team Liquid 3-1 up.
Close enough, I'll take that as a prediction, you know. I'll add it to the
sure that's how that works, Tom. I'm not going to give it to you. Flag on the play.
I like that. Just they know that a lot of the time Chronicle is going to be isolated, so they go aggro. I say they. Camo goes aggro, finds that opener, and then from then on it is basically the Camo show, just being able to hold onto that site almost solo, moves himself up the board and breaks back immediately. Now, as you mentioned before, Fnatic managed to keep that round flawless, so they are going to have a purchase into this next, but they are now on their last legs once again. And look at the ultimates already for Liquid. Showstopper available, Dimensional Drift 1 away. They have a lot of advantages in this round.
The last play really falling apart as you just see these players cascading into the site with so little time and offering up isolated duels. I mean, Camo's eaten well when he's given those chances. This time it's not quite so easy, but he almost gets one. The bullets luckily dodged ahead by an inch. And the rotation's already coming through. Team Liquid, 3 players towards the site, but only 1 on it, and the gate crash used to get right out of there. Showstopper fired in, but it's Kiko who ends up falling. Chronicle fires right back through that smoke and ends up packing the punch that gets Viper's Pit to the site. They can now use that to lock it down, but they're picking off scalps. Never mind. No ults needed by the looks of things. It's Nats and Serial with a big challenge on their hands.
He got killed through the corner of the fake out. That was a nice shot from Alfia, and while for the remaining 2, it almost seems impossible already. Yeah, I think again, just realizing that the economy is against them here. A faster pace for Fnatic, and honestly, that has been one of my main worries when watching the squad and the attack, is they do leave it down to the wire so regularly. Like the amount of times you'll see an execution with 20, 15, sometimes even 10 seconds left on the clock. So this time, much more of a pacey take, openers going their way. And even with the showstopper thrown in, I think it was Chronicle must have picked Kiko out of the air just after he fired it. That will be a second round on the board, and no hunting this time for the side of Fnatic. They just want to keep their own economy strong.
Yeah, the rocket almost acted like a tracer for Chronicle. He knew that player's flying backwards through the air, and he tracked them perfectly. A round up for Fnatic, and we talked about their economy being so strong. That's why they got that second bite of the cherry. Round 4 not going their way, wasn't a death sentence. Thanks to round 3 being so clean. That gets them on the board here early on. Keeps that scoreline tight. But Team Liquid, well, they're in a similar boat. They'll still be able to invest coming into this. The problem is if Fnatic get boots on the ground, because Chronicle has had that early start, Viper's Pit's already online. Yeah. And that's going to be very difficult to fight back through. Nobody knows that better than Nats.
Opening fight for middle seems to be the play. Already the spams in towards Nats' position, but This is more of a ruse. In fact, Chronicle has placed the wall and then is already immediately rotating towards the B site. There is no plan for a lurk, a late play back. This looks like a direct hit in towards the B site.
The flash coming in from Kayak. He's got his gate crash to get right onto the side, so he might look like he's a little too far away. Alphayer, though, paving the way. Only the one to be found. Kiko, he's had a lights-out start to this map. The battle between himself and Alphayer is something that has to be highlighted. You imagine Alpha has the upper hand. Certainly recent performances on this map, some of them have looked great for him. Camo, on his way through. He's got the flash to work with. Going all the way to backside, just opening up the info for his teammates. Viper's Pit, though, put in as the pressure's applied.
He spotted everybody, though. He knows that the majority are locked towards the backside, but they have missed out on Crashies potentially slipping the net. He was looking to just round that backline, but has decided to delay, wait patiently to come back in.
I like the idea from Camo. He faked out that he was the decoy, but he couldn't quite find Chronicle. He was too deep in there. They've got him eventually, though, and Boaster falls with him. Crashy's now up close, finds one. Defuse already up to half, and he knows that that player had to come off the defuse. Biding time here. Kiko trying to force the fight, and he will get the duel eventually, but it's Crashies to clutch it out. A Red Bull clutch to equalize.
Solid round from him. As said, when you had Camo going back in with that dimensional drift, he spotted everybody, but the one player that managed to slip through that pit in towards the spawn and just hold on to ground was the one that ended up winning it. I think just the surprise factor of where Crashies ended up being, and what we really have seen sort of the... We've seen the development of him as a player. Like when he first was picked up into this roster, I definitely had doubts. But the form he has found, the maps he's even won. I look towards Fracture, and individually it's a great map for him. I can only assume that was an immediate pre-fire shot on B main.
It looks
and
like,
considering, again, this is another hero rifle, there is nothing else really to play with.
yeah, you see those players outside the barrier, you know you've got a battle on your hands, especially with that weaker buy, with the rifle in play for Team Liquid being in Kiko's hands, and now they've got another bolstering the buy. Camo, he's taken a lot of damage, as has Patatek, and the snake bites enough to finish him off. They knew Patty's in the corner, and that's a disaster for a great start. Some weapons recovered as well. They end up in a 2 versus 3 from what was just moments ago an advantage.
To be honest though, a 2v3 from a round where you started with one rifle, it's not a bad position to try and fight back from. The main thing will be is, can either of these players quickly find an individual duel? Chronicle on the angle, Prowler even put through. Well, first shot not connected, but Chronicle and Kayak will combine. Fnatic convert, lead taken after what was a hot start from Team Liquid. Fnatic are climbing back into this one.
Just excellent utility coming through. Crashies being able to seize those players in screens. Again, yeah, we start the round out and it looks like somewhere that, we didn't even see the opening pick, that's how quick it was. Somewhere that they shouldn't have too much to say, but after the opening pick, after the advantage then found so concretely, losing those 2 players in screens just puts a massive wrench in the works. And again, if it doesn't come down to that seize, to the snake bite from Chronicle, and then the deep swing on screens to finish off Patatek, we could have had a much bigger headache for the squad.
Drift online, Showstopper as well. It's looking like maybe a potential weakness being pressured here from the side of Fnatic, because this is again looking like a much more direct early take. They've done the same with Chronicle, already making that rotation over. This shot needs to be connected, and while Camo has to just escape that one, it leaves Kiko dead to rights, but he gets the trade. Unfortunately for them, Crashies is just quick enough. And now with the Cosmic Divide, there were 4 ults in this round. Fnatic have already used a couple of them. But with a post plant and a man advantage, it's a good spot, and an even better one found.
Winning all their duels, and it's that opening shot missed, the Showstopper being able to find its mark on backside. Usually, we can even look at a Showstopper and say, as long as you're taking the space on the back of it, that's all that really matters. But he does that and then some with the trade out, and the immediate flood in from his teammates. Now, Serial's obviously looking to save this rifle. They've sent out Chronicle to hunt him down, but looks like Serial will thread the needle. The rifle will be carried through to the next, but like you said, Tom, it looks like a weakness has been found. Blood in the water, and Fnatic are swimming straight towards it. That B site crumbling in the early round a couple times now.
Yeah, it seems like a spot that they're not only willing to fight for in most rounds, whether it be a lurk or with an aggressive take, but the second they had the ults online, you could see the whole team was built up. Chronicle again just going, okay, I'm just going to place my util and then immediately look to just go back and join the team. They had no point in that round where they knew they were going to go back. At no moment. They knew they were heading straight in towards the B site, and well, with it working out wonderfully,
Really
the
nice.
late lurk through mid.
Let's keep it up. Good comms, good Razor AF here. That's what we like to see. Value.
And it really is. It's value there. Also, Kayak with a great read timing-wise on that team swing. That could spell out doom for Team Liquid if they can't find a solution.
Yeah, I think for them, 4 rounds in a row. 5 of the last 6 after what was a solid start. We mentioned it, when it comes to this map in particular for Fnatic, 8-4 is where the first half has gone the last 3 times or 4 times, sorry, they played it, and the 5th was a 9-3. So they did end up losing that one, which is kind of absurd. It was the BBL comeback of dreams, but for now at least it's proving potentially right again, because the last few rounds I don't think have been particularly close for the side of Liquid. The more direct takes with that double duelist combo, but then Chronicle has just been fantastic. And I note as well, when he is going with the team, that's where it seems like there's just so much impact for him, because you allow this guy to trade out kills, and that's the easy work for Chron.
The other thing that's kind of surprising is the fact that the Kiko Alpha head-to-head has been swinging convincingly in Kiko's favor, whether it's the early fight or the late one. He has been winning that duel time and time again, and the reality is for Fnatic, having Alfier be quiet or be shut down early and still delivering convincing rounds is remarkable.
There you go, a 36% chance for this round, because there is a single rifle once again. Kiko has been set up multiple times in an attempt to be the hero. The rest of the team just almost looking to try and set him up, but they flash Boaster off. They still held the ground. Alfier also just holding into B main with that attack side operator. And on the other side of the map, they already have an awful lot of space. This fight, though, even a trade wouldn't be great here for Alfier. And yeah, immediately I like it. Just reposition to a new spot, even a stun behind it as well. Fnatic are making sure nobody's pressuring that up.
And the last time they had that one rifle, it was Kiko swinging into B main, taking that aggressive duel. So the adjustment here of saving the op, which was a last-minute decision, they did juggle it into a position where they could have that conversation. But the fact that he goes then posts up and says, all right, maybe they're going to have Kiko swing with the rifle again. I'll be waiting. And this time he would have won the duel. Instead, that rifle's towards the A site. And Fnatic gearing up to execute into it. Nats on standby too. He's seen them. Snakebite's going to go down. 30 seconds as well. This utility is going to delay them by a little bit.
I like the use of the dimensional drift. I think going in this late to a round, you need to know where your opponents are. Kayak trying to make things more awkward. In fact, even looks to try and take the duel. 15 seconds. Nats is the one to find the kill, and even a showstopper thrown in, which does eventually catch out Crashies. 10 seconds. Fnatic have left it so late to try and get something done, but the spam actually helps out, and now needs a little bit more, but straight through the smoke. It will be Nats to take down that planter. Well, the pay save card Thrifty coming through for Liquid. That extra, what was it, 9% definitely helped them out.
Oh, 100%. And what really helped them out here is they didn't have the credits, but they had the ult economy. The fact that after first pick, Showstopper can be pulled through, not even acquired there. It was already online coming in, and then Viper's Pit is there. And that boxes these players in to a tiny corner. Even the attempt to body block just ends up with 2 kills going in the other direction for Team Liquid. Well, it's not the first time we've seen an impactful late-round Viper's Pit from Nats in that kind of position. This one has a different flavor to it. They have been defeated in so many of these rounds, but now they could be right back on the horse. For Fnatic, an op bot up, it's Chronicle on that lurk towards the A site. As again, they'll look for this B main pressure, but it's not Kiko that they'll meet, it's Camo.
The expectation now is that the defense will be aggressive on some part of the map, and while the Boombot gonna give the game away. Although Serial is still at the back of sight.
Need that back.
Nothing really being spotted for now. Ultimates mirrored once again. Just the Nightfall available for either side. But this time they've managed to find a lot of space towards middle. It's only now that It seems like some presence is being thrown in from Serial. I think they've definitely made the realization that, okay, we could have lost Heaven, so we'll reclaim that with a Prowler. The only problem is the timing for Fnatic, if they claim Heaven now, could actually be sublime.
Still up to cross by Nats.
Will they?
Seconds left.
They've been spotted. There's an idea now that Nats should stick around. There was a gap. That gap is now closed. Nats spots them on the cross, almost loses his life for his trouble. Kiko under heavy pressure in the backside. There's a response. The shots need to land for Kiko. He'll grab one, 12 seconds again. Time pressure on for Fnatic. Players flooding into the site, the plant being stuck, and it will be acquired, but these players are out in the open. Easily taken down by Team Liquid as, again, the clock puts too much pressure on Fnatic for those takes to be comfortable.
I said it early in the game, it's always the thing with Fnatic on this attack side that makes me nervous, is they like to play the clock very slow, especially if they don't meet any resistance. They're almost waiting for that trigger, like that thing to go, okay, now we go. And well, it came so late in this round. I think it was a shot by Chronicle that was the first sort of piece of the puzzle, but I also really like as well the targets that were chosen there by Liquid, because
you saw that. I'm glad you did that.
While there are people sort of planting, a lot of the time when the clock gets low, you're going to rush in to try and deny that. Liquid didn't do that. They went, okay, we already have a good advantage in this round. Let's take out the dangers. And the last guy still has to stick that plant. If he lets go, we win the round. So I think just good decision-making in terms of the targets that they chose. And while right back up to level, the 8-4 is not happening.
And I think also great usage of the timeouts from Team Liquid. The idea to just pump brakes and wait for aggression. Fnatic were waiting, as you said, across the map, expecting aggression, expecting someone from Team Liquid to make a mistake, and that would be their trigger. That would be their go moment. But they didn't have that. And Team Liquid perfectly reading into that, hey, they're waiting for us to make mistakes. Let's just run the clock down. Let's make them play late into the round, no info. And the most that they had really was seeing a player's screens, seeing Nats up in Heaven. Then even the player on site's going to catch you off guard, as you don't expect them to have made those heavier rotations, but those deeper plays on B. The information kept by Serial with the more aggressive B hold being forced back early on by Alphair. It didn't actually have the impact that they wanted. It didn't force anybody to overthink, to commit to that site. Now they're going to look for another solution. I think the slow play has to be put on the back burner.
Well, B has been a really good spot for Fnatic so far in this match. Of course, this time not having the ultimates to play with, but that would be my expectation. Try and challenge. Serial's had a bit of a quiet game. A lot of that is that he hasn't had many fights to take, currently 2-4, which going into round number 11 is a bit of a weird scoreline to have. But now, though, it is patient from that defense. When you have the operator with vision over middle, that's been a fairly free spot on the map for Fnatic to take thus far. Well, it will be again.
Yeah, this is the same sort of play we're looking at. Players on the extremity holding, and then aggression in middle. Now the reposition from Camo as he gate crashed out with the utility thrown his way, but when he swings in with that op, Crashies is there waiting. Now they've got their opportunity. A player down, but the B site that they're looking at already has reinforcements. Patatek rotated into Heaven to cover this off. Snakebite down from Nats. He's getting aggressive, they both are. They're waiting as the smoke fades, and they'll take down Crashies. That's the spike right in front of them. Nats picking them off one by one, and it's a 4-piece already. An ace on the cards. It's Kayak to deny, but the round goes to Liquid anyways.
Yeah, that's just popping off. We've seen it so many times throughout this last few months. I think he's been having a great time in terms of individual form, given the speeches as well, but that timing for Crashies was unfortunate. And when you know that your opponents have to sort of run back into your crosshair, that's when Nats really is the most dangerous player, maybe in our whole region. 6-5, Liquid after being 5-3 down, take a pause, win 3 in a row, and could go in with the lead at the half.
Perfect read from Liquid as well. Once you've rotated that third player into position, your A side is so light that an aggressive play has to be made, and using the pullback smoke to catch them off guard, not just with one. We've seen Nats do that with his orb in the old version of Viper many a time, but having the second player of Patatek there, they could push down through mid and take the info, but they didn't need to. The spike was brought to them. For Fnatic, they're stalling out, and already equal at the half is as good as it gets. And yeah,
I see Nats in these sort of positions. It definitely makes me nervous. They've left an operator on one side, 3 stack in middle. Now Camo for now does still have that gate crash online, can just take the pick and escape, but it is going to come down to the timing on the clock. He's been spotted, but just decides leaving is far more important. Althea will take the space on the side, but there's so many players already here. Serial, Nats combining. Althea has at least been able to find one back with an aid, and I don't think they realized how deep into the site Kayak was. This leaves things level, but only for a moment. 30 seconds.
30 seconds left.
With Boaster low.
One enemy remaining.
Chronicle's the one that needs to take the fight, and while you mentioned this man's clutches, but this would be one of the toughest ones, and it isn't going to be found.
Yeah, certainly hasn't been good for Boaster's clutch statistics. I think convincingly Camo will be leading the league coming out of that half, but it can all change in the second half. 7-5. Team Liquid putting up a strong defense, but we know Fnatic can make it work on either side. We'll find out how their defense is going to go after the break.
One enemy remaining.
Seven to 5, Team Liquid moving on to their attack side, and it's been a good display from the factors that you want to see online. Kiko early winning those battles against Alpha Nats with the big plays in the late round, and great calling across the board from Liquid. That timeout they took around round 8 or so, it definitely made a difference. We saw that change to punish the slower play style of Fnatic, and it didn't look like there was any solution being found.
But I think it's something that needs to be highlighted more. It's just the Liquid coaching staff with like their counter plays, their ideas, and what they're coming up with have been fantastic all the way through the year so far. Even implementing a new player for stage 2 and still looking like they're one of the favorites to make it to Toronto. That's what's on the line in this match. Both squads looking to play in, and while Crashy's under pressure.
It's Camo going in for it, but Kayak's there to greet him, and plenty of players to swing with. A big fight on the backside, and with a triple kill under his belt, Kayak may have pulled him across the line here. Hungry for that international appearance is Serial with 32 HP is the last man standing. Coming in with a 2-round deficit, the pistol will certainly help you remedy that right off rip. With everybody on high HP, this is quite the challenge.
Trying to find an isolated duel. More Boaster is exactly that. Well, okay. At the speed of sound, Althea is there behind. As Fnatic to get themselves the pistol over the line. And yeah, you sort of mentioned it in the moment. One of the things that was almost peculiar to me is looking at Kayak as a player that is yet to make it to an international, but it just doesn't feel that way. I think part of it is the caliber of players around him, but also just the fact that this guy went on the Ascension run. I feel like I've seen so much from him as a player. He had big boots to fill. Well, he has been filling them. And on the other side of things, no matter what, we will have one of our rookies making it over to Masters Toronto. For now though, not much of an investment. Nats with a little bit extra on the Ghost.
Flash.
Okay then.
Nats doing his best Chronicle impression. It's not quite a classic, but it'll do the job. With Team Liquid taking down 2, a rifle in the hands of Camo. This round is far from a certainty for the defenders. In fact, this could be a major upset to the flow of this early half. They could have bridged the gap, but instead they are left miles apart. Team Liquid looking like 8-6 with a big economy boost, and it's only Boaster who stands in the way. I mentioned he was tied up for the highest clutch percentage, had been in a lot more than his opponent. But this one, they're playing it perfectly. Off Patatek's contact, a big swing, and he doesn't even need any help. 8-6 now.
They get 3 rifles out of that as well. Like, that wasn't a light investment from Fnatic. We're not going into a round where it's like, oh, okay, they went in with a lot of pistols, SMGs, they went in with maybe a shotgun or 2. No, they had rifles to play with. They lose an immediate opening duel to Nats with a pistol, which, again, like, that was all that was invested. The rest was just classics and utility. And now, well, a huge bolster, a huge boost to the Liquid economy. This is far worse than just losing the pistol.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, yeah. If Serial won that clutch, that we would be in a better reality for FNC right now. This is looking pretty bad for Fnatic. 1 rifle in the hands of Alpha Air, the rest on pistols. And again, a passive play coming out from Fnatic as they, sorry, on the sides. It was aggression down mid as they attempt to take control. Alpha Air is going to be alone with that rifle on the flank. So those players that are defending, that are up in heaven, they don't really stand a chance. And Alpha goes running into Nats, holding his back with an outlaw. It's a disgusting play, but one that will drop that rifle early on.
It seems like now the goal is just to try and get it back. Nats has almost definitely heard players running or attempting to run through the snakebite just to retrieve that gun. The question now is, yeah, I think they just sent Boaster to save. A good choice. You want to make sure that financially you're coming in with a decent buy in the next round, and he's the one who would most likely suffer. For the rest, it just comes down to trying to clear up some of these kills. And well, 2 players in the corner rather than the 1. And hey, Crashies has done very well from that. At least made it a little bit more costly, guarding an extra few orbs, but ultimately 3 players will survive for the side of Liquid. And that 1 hero rifle will be kept for Boaster.
Luckily, Boaster's not doing his best impression of Patatek at this point. He is nice and passive with that rifle. They need it for the next.
Passive tech.
I like it. I like what you did there, Tom. 9-6 for Team Liquid. Big boost in the early half. We thought Fnatic could have closed the gap, but they weren't quite able to make it up to neck and neck, and now trailing by 3. A big challenge for this defensive side. An operator pulled out early on, and a loss in this round is a step further away from that international appearance. This is a squad that we've seen win many internationals, chain them together even at times, but last year only playing 2 games at a Masters event. No guarantee that they'll see any.
No surprise. Prowler didn't catch. Prowler didn't catch! It looked like it was a free kill for Kayak, but it's not going to land. That was a let-off for Liquid. That Prowler not quite clearing the angle that it was basically the goal to clear. Chronicle, though, has taken quite a bit of damage elsewhere, so the early round definitely slightly in the favor. Now the B main push. There's 2 players waiting on the other side. Pop Flash with Heaven already being claimed. Fnatic have taken an awful lot of ground, and actually it's Althea that wins that first battle. In fact, they're winning the majority, clearing out that backline. Well, I think the others have already been spotted. Kiko walking into Chronicle, even low, still manages to win the fight. And the only man standing, Nats.
30 seconds left.
No spike, not much HP. Probably just going to hold on to the gun.
Yeah, I think it's the right call at this point. Better off run it with full health, shields, and a few more teammates around you. For Fnatic, this is exactly what they needed. Loss in this round, as I said, this would be the final domino already put into play. But instead a chance to climb right back up. The problem is Team Liquid They may have had a few stumbles, but they've had answers to a lot of the problems that Fnatic are putting up for them.
I say as well, though, I like the adaptations from Fnatic in that round. Like, they spot that there's players waiting around B main. I am surprised how well it went, though, because when you have that sort of heaven crunch and you have players pushing B main at the same time, and you have 3 and they have 5, you kind of look at that and go, okay, you should take some casualties. But they managed to win out the majority of the fights while fighting on both fronts at the same time. So a solid round from them. A clean one again, and that has been the story of a lot of the rounds they've won. They've been squeaky clean. For now, though, back into the round. Kayak now looking to challenge in towards middle with that operator. It's not exactly the angle I'd hold it in. Maybe just trying to sell the ultimate ruse. Yeah, okay, there we go. I was thinking that's an odd spot to sit.
Look at this from Nats. He's pushed his way up, caught his timing on A. Should be something they're aware of, but I see a gate crash going towards it, and he will be right on the cusp of it.
I don't think they have any idea.
Just a moment. I don't think they do. You're spot on with that. And the play coming through vents. They'll send players back in that direction if they're spotted. Oh, this is it. Nat's walking up. They're looking the right way, and he actually gets one before going down. Luckily, Crashies was spotting that area too, but the pressure on now. Rotate in from Kayak. Op is in play, and Crashy stays aggressive. That's a great play to get them the advantage.
He's connected. All 3 of the remaining players. Crashies has just maybe won them the round individually. He's bought time for the remainder to rotate in. Stuns, gravity wells being thrown through to slow Liquid further. And now the clock coming up to just 25 seconds left for them to try and make a move. Liquid need to get into this site. And in fact, they've teleported almost directly onto an opponent. The swing doesn't quite work out, though. Crashy's still standing, and Serial once again left to try and clutch things out. But let's be honest, I don't think there's any world in which he manages to get this done, especially now. The time already gone. Crashy's the first point of contact, and he's going to close out as well. What a round from him.
Phenomenal defense from Crashies, a 4-piece pickup, and now just 1 round between them. This is what we want to see. Some of these factors coming online for Fnatic, slowing down as well over on the other side for Team Liquid, and this was a round with a lot of danger, with Nats lurking up behind them, finding that fantastic position in what could have, and for many teams, would have been 2 players dropped in heaven, a site lost, and a round gone down the drain.
It's his re-aggression as well. He realizes, okay, if he's behind, they're going to pincer me, so I need to take a fight on one front, get to kill, gets back to the site, then catches everybody with the Nightfall. Like, that was a one-man army. Like, without him in that round, if he's the person that gets shot, I think they still lose. Like, I think Althea gets traded out. He doesn't have the util to do what he just did. So honestly, that is a full-on Crashies round and an immediate pause call for Liquid, because we've seen it before already. As said, Fracture coming up later. There was a map where I distinctly remember the Crashies Teo. He just won it almost individually. Like, he was the only person positive on the whole team by quite a bit. So you don't want this guy to get going.
With the re-aggression as well from Crashies, there was a little bit of a fail-safe in having Kayak already there, but with an operator in elbow, he's going to be overwhelmed by the numbers. If Crashies doesn't get that kill, it could have fallen apart, but he's able to get out, and not just that, Boaster popping the smoke gives him that little bit of a safe haven, so as his opponents swing in to trade out their fallen comrade, there's a star in the way. They can't see through that smoke. Crashies is able to reset, ultimately getting all 4 to close it out. 8 on the board for Fnatic. They've been 1 behind before, and that's where Team Liquid leapt into the lead.
Straight after a pause. It was the pause that immediately turned the tide for Liquid, and while it is a pace change, they've been very good at these sort of low buy, faster pace rounds. Whoa! From hero to zero. A lot of util thrown in onto Crashies there, and it's actually going to be the opener found by Camo, 5 HP. Well, he's gone. In fact, another's gone.
Alpha stepping up when he's needed. Kayak pulls it back into their favor, and again, weaknesses are there. Serial's only got himself a pistol to work with, but it's Nats. He's been here before, but now he's been spotted. They definitely have a read on his position. He'll still win the fight. They've been isolated because of that ultimate. Serial coming up into heaven, but Nats is being spotted out by Kayak. The site control theirs. Although the star will buy a little bit of time. In fact, it won't. It doesn't quite catch them. Oh, it's a bit of a disaster. Either way, Chronicle lands the shot to close the round out, and we are tied up 9-9.
I guess a bit of an unorthodox plant, maybe not one of the positions you're normally going to put it in, and that has just gone, well, tits up, I would say, for Serial. Obviously, he's been left in a scenario that was unfortunate, but even still, they managed to make that one competitive. 9-9. Fnatic climbing back to level once again, but this is where the rifles come in. This is where I kind of expect the pause to have had its effect. A fair few ultimates ready. And already, Alpha, yeah, he's basically just had to shoot down at his own feet, but that is Camo gone seconds into the round.
Yeah, hand delivered, the Prowler goes up, and when it doesn't get contact, they think that the space is free, but what a nasty surprise it is as you hear that voice line delivered. And the rocket fired in. Two players down below. They've got a trap set and sprung with the spike now under their control. It's only Chronicle needed, but he had the backup, and now they've got the spike to work with for Team Liquid.
They also only shot at Chronicle. So Alfia was just a spectator. Serial finally deals with him, and Paditex found another. Now the spike, as you said, is in a horrible spot, and while with Kayak picking up Serial, it's now left all onto Paddy. Has a lot of utility, Mitch, but I don't believe in this one.
No, I mean, the position's now down on bottom mid. The only thing going for him is they don't know where he's going to come from. They've set up a big swing, but it's for him coming from the attacker side. He can isolate the first duel, but he's down to 2 HP. Well handled, and Alfier, he knew he'd done damage. Maybe not that much, but confident to go out with the shorty to finish it off. Double digits for Fnatic, and the lead is now theirs.
Especially after the blip in round 2. I definitely got a little bit worried. Like, you get the start you're looking for. You think a lot of teams in that scenario might have ended up demoralized, but it's been a big talking point of Fnatic all year that this is, whether or not you agree this is the best iteration of the roster, this is the best vibes they've ever had. Like, you can see it in every single replay, whether they're winning, whether they're losing. They're having a good time. Well, now into the lead on their opponent's map choice. Going into potentially the icebox that we've not seen them play this year. It would be nice. And while the buy is a lot stinkier than we've seen, but we witnessed Liquid win around with just a ghost, so who knows?
Catch Kayak. He's safe, and they think the player backside's the one to worry about, but it's Kayak up close. Good for one. Buys Boaster a bit of time and a 1v1 that he wins out. Damage done. Players holding, clinging onto life. The nade sends them to the other side. It's Paditech alone. He won't be alone for long, rejoining his teammates in the spawn as 11 rounds found, and the streak from Fnatic continues. They are looking to put a close to this map, a map that they have chosen against many opponents, but here it's Team Liquid's map pick, and it's not going according to plan.
The only team that beat Liquid so far this year was the reigning champions. So, you know, Fnatic looking to add themselves to that minute list, and right now it's looking very good for them. 5 rounds in a row, no pauses anymore as well for the side of Liquid, unless one's called by the opposing side. Chronicle again has just stepped up with a double. An aggressive position to say the least, but with Nats and Camo gone, it's about as good as it gets. Maybe you would have wanted to take Kiko, and look at the push that's already coming through from Crashies. They have this round sewn up. They know exactly where their opponents are. They've trapped them into the tiniest of boxes. Well, maybe if they went vents, there'd be a chance, Mitch, but they're not going vents.
So many things they could have done there, but just sending Alfier to swing out wide on the rafters. Whether that was a call or whether he took his destiny into his own hands, we'll never know. But either way, it works out wonderfully. Alfier heating up on this defensive side. He was put in the dirt early by Kiko, but now it's Kiko who's gone missing. And Fnatic 1 round away with 3 chances to close out this map. Let's not forget, they're defending a title here. They won stage 1 last year. They're looking to do the same this year.
My favorite thing right now is it was mentioned by the desk that this map was a Gambit or mech map. Nat 20 and 14, Chronicle 20 and 12. Both playing the same agent, both having high impact rounds. And while Chronicle, a lot of the time, Mr. Impact has been taken out. Pressure on the other side. No way! How has Alfia got away with that one? 6 HP, styling on Nat. And what would just about keep that man advantage alive. Fnatic have taken B main control.
They lost
There's nobody going in that direction either. Already, Serial will put another in the dirt. Making this into an advantageous position. You wouldn't think it with the way that the round started. But getting into that post plant, the only thing they have to worry about is main.
Can't believe they lost their pit, and Alpha just goes blast packing through, but he does pay a price. He's down to 6 HP. Crashy's falling. This round is under threat. They group up, Alpha, Yer, and Kayak. Two duelists we highlighted coming into this. Alpha is the point of contact, and he had a chance against Kiko there. Just about misses the ship. Boaster falls. It's looking like this one is already done. Just 6 HP in it. And Alpha Yer, I was going to say, looking to maybe save, but of course they don't really need to, do they? They've got plenty of credits, and it's 12-9 or 12-10 now. 2 rounds left to play for. Credits there. Ults online. Showstopper for Alpha as well.
Of course, a very important round for the side of Liquid, denying their opponents the victory on their map choice, but I do feel like there's a moment where you lose that many buy rounds in a row.
More energy, boys. We won the round. Where is energy?
You get into a position where, Storb, as Nats was saying, it's that revival. It's the revival of the energy, the confidence, the players that we know sit across from Fnatic on the stage. They've been fantastic throughout the season so far. Only a defeat in their first matchup. Other than that, it was clean. And well, I said there were no more pauses for Liquid. They might be happy to get given one by Fnatic, who've decided, you know what? Okay, we've had a great half. We've been performing very well. But we do need ourselves one more.
Yeah, 6 in a row, and then you called a pause after we've just seen Chronicle get sniped straight through his pit. I mean, I guess there must have been other problems there. Maybe it was Alpha with his lunatic playstyle, but
it's also kind of just your last chance to, I would say, really have impact. Like, you do it when they get one more round, they have the momentum, maybe they have more ults. You do it now, you go, okay, we're still in the lead, we still have a couple to go, we still have the finances. This is what I've spotted. Let's implement this as soon as possible, and I don't think the timing could be any better. The only risk is that you have given one over to Lohan and Yaltsin on the other side, who has said they've been impactful with them.
That they have. For Team Liquid, you better hope that it's the same situation again. Because last time it was a closer affair. It was somewhere that they either had control, had the momentum, or it was a tight game. But now it feels like the shoe's on the other foot. It's Fnatic with all the wind in their sails. 2 chances to close this one out. Last time they lost that vent fight, this time they won't even be taking it. The Seas nade put through by Space for Camo's TP, and now they've got vents control. Little did Liquid know, that's been given up. A much more passive approach from that defensive side because they've pushed up into B main, and they're leaving Alpha Yer embedded. Problem is, the attackers are going the other way.
You can see the immediate rotation, though, from Chronicle. He's been having a fantastic second half. It seems now like they do have the read. Boaster making that move as well. Edging ever closer. And with 40 seconds left, Liquid do look to build into the site, which is slowly being stacked up.
Boaster's here. He's left that gap in heaven because they're confident that this is the right play, and now it's confirmed. Spike down. 25 seconds, flash out, but it's Kayak to fall. Chronicle not landing his shots either, and now they're wrapping around the side. He deals with that, or tries to, but Camo with another has opened up this site. A plant secured, and a Viper's pit to play inside of Alpha Yer, though. It's a target-rich environment, and he'll find one as Boaster sprays down a double in the elbow. Camo out of that dimension, and out of the map, as 13-10 is locked in. Fnatic take their opponent's map pick, and now just one more to send them to Toronto.